everybody. What's going on? Kevin Gallagher here. Join with me today. Introduce yourself.
Rob Foster. I am lead the Construction Sciences group for GTS at Crawford.
And what's your claim story? How did you get into insurance?
I was thinking about this earlier. I got out of the military in 1987, decided I'd be a contractor, so I had a 72 Mustang. It was a slow 72 Mustang.
Okay, I'm a little less impressed.
But I bought my first miter saw and I started doing contractor work. Worked through that, bought a truck, went into business for myself, and through a lot of years and a lot of different things, kind of like the Pretender from the old television show. I've done a lot of things, throughout my life.
I could be a doctor, I could be an engineer, I could be an astronaut, but I don't know who I am.
I ended up in the restoration business and really enjoyed it. I like helping people. I enjoy the science behind drying. Had my own restoration company for a number of years, and you might be able to notice I'm a little older, so my knees weren't working quite as well, and my back hurt most mornings. So I said, I'll become an insurance adjuster because most of them are fat, dumb, and happy, and I got 2 of those already down pat. I got my license, and I applied to another company, and they're like, 15 minutes later, they call me back and say, hey, we want to start a mitigation review in our company. Would you be interested? And I'm like, I had no idea, all the things that were involved. So I took them up on their offer and worked for them for about 4.5 years, and then came over to Crawford to set up a mitigation review program.
You were a military man though as well.
I was. I was in the Navy for 4 years. I was search and rescue air crewman.
It's you got a little bit of a road there.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I like that. Let's talk about construction sciences, because you head up construction sciences for Crawford. And I think at face value, people just think immediately of building consulting. But that's not necessarily the case.
What we do different in construction sciences is we're not building consultants, we're not clerks. We actually go on larger projects and meet with the vendors and the parties to get an agreed scope, agreed pricing, make sure that they actually know what they're doing. A lot of projects I walk on, they bought a franchise last week and they've got a yellow truck, green truck, blue truck, whatever, but they don't understand the drying philosophy or the drying principles. So, we do a little mentoring along with trying to get an agreed scope. I want to pay a good contractor for everything they've done that's reasonable. And that's kind of where our outlook is on the whole process is, working through from start to finish to make sure it's not a 6-year or 12-year court battle over money. And we also do post-mitigation reviews. So let's say, you have a claim that it's a little bit higher than what we thought. We'll actually go through it and we'll compare it to the standards and what the standards say and what should be applicable to that loss. And we'll come up with an agreed value. We'll actually work with that vendor to try to negotiate a settlement to where it's not just left hanging out there.
Okay. So
you forgot to ask me about my coffee.
this is true.
Recycled motel coffee. And it's not bad. It's hot and it's black and it's
No, because I always treat people to whatever they want, and maybe we should have done cocktails with Ken at the bar back over here. We'll do that after. If you could build a dream home anywhere in the world, where would you build your dream home?
I don't think I would move from where I'm at now. I have a small little farm. My wife runs a goat milk soap and lotion business. She has goats.
Really?
That she milks the goats. She makes the lotion. She sells across the United States. So we have a nice little farm out in southern Ohio, and I don't think I'd want to move anywhere else.
Now, normally I would do this towards the end of the video, but I decided to throw a wrench in the spokes, and now we're going to do Ask the Asker.
I don't know a lot about you.
Okay.
Which is...
We go back a long time, obviously.
Good or bad. But what drew you over to Crawford? What did you want to be when you grow up, and where are you at in that process?
My degree is actually in Bible. And when I started in the industry, I started in restoration, similar to you. And I was just needed money so I could keep doing ministry. And then I remember the day I graduated from Bible college, the door to ministry closed. It was clear as day, you're not doing it for now. And shortly thereafter, they needed a marketing manager at that restoration company, and here I am today. But as far as Crawford goes, throughout my entire career, and I've never kind of said this on camera, but the ball was always in Crawford's court. And then when I learned about GTS and complex claims, and in engineering, I was involved in power and energy with my former boss Janelle, and started learning about the very complex nature of what GTS does, it became very clear that I was all eyes focused on coming to GTS. So here I am. Good question.
Okay.
What are the most common mistakes that you find on files?
One of the things that I see more and more repeated is increasing the scope or increasing the dollar value of the claim. You know, one example I can give you is I had a claim within the last couple of weeks, and they fogged it because it was a sewer overflow. And on the timesheets or the daily logs, it says me and Bo or me and Bill or whoever it was were there for an hour and a half. Fair enough. But they fogged like a whole, just happened to be a church. And so I went into the Xactimate components, and for them to fog the amount of cubic feet that they did would have taken them 73 hours. But they were only there an hour and a half. Now, was it intentional? I don't know. But when I brought it to their attention, they're like, well, we're still charging you that. So, you know, was it intentional? I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not.
All right, John Wick, Jason Bourne, or John McLane? Who do you choose to be your bodyguard?
Probably John McLane, because they portrayed him kind of like as an older guy that, you know. So yeah, I relate to that now. Okay. So, and he kind of thought outside of the box, and you know.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Was it?
John Wick.
Yeah. Well, you
Most
know.
people say Jason Bourne on this question.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but John Wick. We're just about to enter cat season. Here we are going into the summer months. August, everybody starts biting their nails, watching all the weather patterns, roll into September. So during a catastrophe scenario, how does your team prioritize claims that need immediate technical oversight?
The way that I prioritize them is highest needs. What are the highest needs? What are the biggest exposure? What's the ones that we need to get back up and running, like a school system? You know, do we need to get the kids back in school, or does the smoke shop down the road need to get back open? So, you know, that's kind of my prioritization. There's probably, you know, there's no math or a spreadsheet that I just look at it as, you know, what's the most important? What has the most effect on society? And, you know, schools, hospitals, those kind of things are like the top priority. And then we start moving down the list.
When I started, you and I had a call, and you told me about a client that in one calendar year, you were able to like really save a lot. Without getting into details, can you tell us about that? Brag for a second. Like this is your opportunity.
So my basic philosophy is we want to pay for everything that we owe for. And fortunately, one of my clients has realized $23 million in savings over the past 3 years.
Okay, so final question. I love to end on a positive note, and I like to inspire people to do something, because that's the point of Coffee with Kevin, is to find inspirational stories, your stories of people coming up in the business and how they got to where they are. What is one piece of advice you would give to a new insurance claim professional?
I think the piece of advice that I would give anybody starting in, especially into this industry, is you have to have empathy and respect for the insured. One of my famous sayings, if you hang around me long enough, is treat everybody like you'd treat your grandma. And it would just makes, you know, resolving claims and getting them behind us and getting the insured back into where they need to be with reasonableness and, you know, empathy. It makes life pretty simple. And when we forget that, you know,
That could be grandma or Uncle Joe or whoever. Yes, there are people who cheat. Yes, there are people who steal. But, you know, as professionals, we have to look at everyone that they're an insured that deserves to be made whole. Our job is to make sure that they are made whole and make sure that we can resolve it as quickly as possible.
Well, thank you so much, Rob.
Thanks.
Honest to God, thank everybody for watching this. It blows my mind when people comment or call me or stop me in public and say, man, that last episode, it cracks me up. I can't believe as many people watch it as they do. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.